Almost nobody comes to Livorno for Livorno. They come because it's the gateway to Tuscany, and the moment your ship ties up, you've got one of the biggest decisions of your whole cruise to make. Florence, with its Renaissance masterpieces, is around 60 miles inland. Pisa and its leaning tower are much closer, and Livorno itself, the salty old port most people rush straight through, is quietly one of the most interesting stops on the coast. Pick the right one and you get a perfect day in Tuscany. Pick wrong or try to do too much, and you spend it on a train watching the clock. So here is exactly how to spend your one day from Livorno, Italy. First, the part that trips people up before they've even left the port. Livorno is a big working container port, and for safety, you usually cannot just walk out of it. A shuttle bus carries you from the ship to a drop-off near the town center, and from there, it's a short ride or walk to the main train station, Livorno Centrale. That shuttle is the first link in your chain, and on a busy day, it can run every 20 or 30 minutes, so factor it into your timing both ways. If you're on a ship excursion or an independent tour, your coach usually meets you closer to the ship and skips that shuffle. Now the big decision, and it helps to know which traveler you are. If seeing the Renaissance in the flesh is a bucket list moment, you point yourself at Florence, the better part of an hour and a half each way by train, trading roughly 3 hours of your day in transit. If you want a famous, easy, low-stress day with an iconic photo, Pisa is the win, around 15 or 20 minutes by train. Close enough that you're under the leaning tower before a Florence-bound traveler has left the suburbs. And if you'd rather not spend your one day on a train at all, staying in Livorno costs you no transit and rewards you more than you'd expect. A quick word on tours, and it matters more here than almost any port. The cruise line's excursions cost more, but they come with one guarantee worth real money. If the tour is late getting back, the ship waits. On a day where you're 60 miles inland depending on trains, that guarantee is the whole point. Independent local operators are often better value and run smaller groups, and the reputable ones build in a serious return buffer. What you want to avoid is being on your own, on a delayed train with no safety net. Let's talk Florence first, because for most people, it's the dream. This is the home of the Renaissance, and even a few hours here are extraordinary. From the station, it's about a 15-minute walk to the heart of it. You've got Michelangelo's David, the real one, 17 feet of marble, far more overwhelming in person than any photo. You've got the Uffizi, one of the greatest art museums on earth. And you've got the great cathedral with a dome worth pausing on. Because when they built the cathedral, they left a hole at the top so big nobody alive knew how to cover it. It sat open for decades, until a goldsmith named Brunelleschi solved it with a self-supporting double shell of brick that needed no central scaffold, a method experts still argue about. It remains the largest masonry dome ever built. Down on the river is the old bridge, the Ponce Vecchio, lined with tiny gold shops. And here's the part that gives you chills. In the Second World War, the retreating German army blew up every other bridge in Florence, but spared this one on orders from the very top. The bridge you're strolling across survived a war that flattened its neighbors. But here's the first hard truth about a Florence day. If you want to see the David or the Uffizi, you must book your time ticket online before you ever leave home. Turning up and queuing can eat 2 hours you do not have, and in peak season, the slots sell out weeks ahead. Book one, big indoor site, give yourself a slot you can make, and build the rest of the day around walking the squares, the cathedral, and the old bridge, which are free and out in the open. Pick 1 or 2 must-sees rather than 5. Cramming everything is how people end up seeing it all through a camera and none of it with their own eyes. Now Pisa, the smart play for a lot of cruisers and not just a consolation prize. The train gets you there in around 15 minutes, and from the station it's a short walk or hop to the Field of Miracles, where the cathedral, the baptistery, and that famous tower all stand together. And here's something most people don't realize about the tower. It didn't just lean, it nearly fell. The ground underneath was too soft. It started tilting almost as soon as they began building over 800 years ago, and by the late 20th century, it was leaning so badly, engineers closed it and spent more than a decade pulling it back from the brink. They didn't straighten it, they just made it safe to lean for another few centuries. So when you take the obligatory photo holding it up, you're propping up a tower real engineers genuinely had to rescue. The cathedral beside it is where the story goes. A young local named Galileo watched a lamp swinging during a service and started wondering about the rhythm of a pendulum. He was born right here in Pisa. What about both Florence and Pisa in one day? It's possible, and plenty of tours sell it, but go in with clear eyes. You'll spend most of the day in transit and get maybe 90 minutes in Florence, enough for a taste, not a feast. If Florence is the real reason you're here, give it the whole day and skip Pisa. When it comes to eating on the coast, you're in the home of one of Italy's great seafood dishes. It's called Cacciucco, a rich, deep red fish stew Livorno has made for around 500 years. Tradition says it must contain at least 5 kinds of fish and shellfish, one for each letter C in its name, and it started as a way for fishermen to use up everything that didn't sell. It arrives dark with tomato and red wine, fragrant with garlic, ladled over toasted bread, and it tastes like the whole sea in a bowl. If you need a lift after, ask for a Ponce, the local hot drink of strong coffee laced with rum, left over from the days when British merchants filled this port. So your day really takes shape by early afternoon, and it's worth saying plainly. Florence, Pisa, and Livorno are 3 different days, and you commit to one in the morning. Roughly, Florence costs you 6 hours of travel for one unforgettable city, Pisa costs barely an hour of travel for one famous site and a relaxed afternoon, and Livorno costs almost nothing but a short shuttle. There's no wrong answer, only the one that fits the day you want. But the option most cruisers overlook is the one right under their feet. Because Livorno itself is a genuine surprise. Most people write it off as just an industrial port, but the old center hides a district of canals known as New Venice, built in the 1600s when the city was booming. You can walk the little bridges or take a small boat through the waterways, and it really does feel like a quieter, saltier cousin of Venice. There's a great covered market, one of the biggest in Italy, and a couple of old Medici fortresses to climb for a view. And here's the beat that explains why Livorno feels so different. 400 years ago, the ruling Medici family declared it a free port and passed laws that were astonishing for the time, welcoming anyone of any faith or background to live and trade freely. Jews, Greeks, Armenians, and refugees from across the Mediterranean poured in, and Livorno became one of the most tolerant mixed cities in all of Europe. That openness is still in the city's bones. If you want to simply breathe by the sea, head for the grand seafront terrace at the southern edge of town, a wide promenade paved in a striking black and white checkerboard where locals stroll and watch the sun go down. Now, the warning that matters more here than at any other port on your itinerary. People miss the ship in Livorno more than almost anywhere, and it's almost always the same story. A Florence day that ran long, a train that was delayed, a tight connection that unraveled. Trains in Italy do run late, and the shuttle back from the drop-off takes time too. If you're doing Florence on your own, work backwards from your all-aboard time. Subtract the shuttle, then the train ride, then a real cushion for delays, and let that tell you the absolute latest you can still be in Florence. Write that time down and treat it as law. The cruise will not wait for an independent traveler stuck on a late regional train 60 miles away. So how do you weigh paying up against doing it yourself? Pisa is the easy, do-it-yourself win, cheap train, short ride, low risk. Livorno itself costs almost nothing and carries zero transit risk. Florence is where it flips. You can do it independently by train and save real money, especially on the slower regional trains, but you carry all the timing risk yourself. A guided trip costs more, but it buys you a driver, a schedule, and the guarantee that someone is responsible for getting you back. Honestly, if Florence is the dream and the thought of a delayed train makes your stomach drop, this is the port where a guided option is worth every cent. Getting back is easy once you have planned it. Train to Livorno Centrale, then the shuttle straight to the ship with time to spare. Keep a little cash for a taxi as a backup in case a shuttle queue builds. And before you sail, if you have stayed in town, walk out onto that checkerboard terrace one last time and look back across the water at the working harbor that has welcomed traders, refugees, and wanderers from the whole world for 400 years. For a port everyone treats as just a gateway, Livorno has a quiet way of winning people over. We've added our favorite local tours in the description below. They're good value, smaller groups, and they've always got us back to the ship on time. Tell us how you'd spend your day from Livorno, Italy, and keep watching for the next port.